Have you ever felt that pull, that universal quest for self-improvement,
Yeah.
that feeling deep down that there must be something more, a way to unlock a better version of yourself, maybe one that's, beyond the daily grind?
Yeah, we're always looking, aren't we?
Uh,
Searching for those systems, those knowledge bases that promise real change, not just small adjustments.
exactly. Fundamental transformative change.
It's the ultimate human puzzle, really. And today we're doing a deep dive into a system designed to tackle exactly that.
Okay.
We're exploring the ideas, the structure, the philosophy laid out in the technical research book, Introduction to the Foundations of Angel Wing, volume #1.
Angel Wing. Okay, that title alone suggests something pretty ambitious, more than just like standard self-help.
Definitely. It points towards a kind of engineered evolution almost.
So let's start there. What's the core purpose behind this Angel Wing initiative, according to the material? What's the big goal?
Well, the text puts it quite plainly, nurturing human evolution.
Human evolution.
Oh, yeah, it's designed to help people make this really specific radical shift,
Mm-hmm.
moving from just basic self-awareness, which, let's be honest, is where most of us operate,
Right.
to what the book calls greater self-mastery. It's presented as a structured, systemic way to accelerate personal growth.
So we're not just talking about managing stress better or, building a new habit. This is about actively shaping our own evolutionary journey.
That's the idea, moving towards a state of being that's much more resilient, more permanent.
A deeper state of well-being.
Exactly. Profound and sustainable well-being. But here's the interesting part, that well-being isn't the end point.
Ah.
No, it's described as the essential groundwork, the foundation you need for what comes next,
Which is?
which they describe as individual ascension towards higher consciousness and further mental and spiritual evolution.
Ascension. Wow. Okay, so it's inherently holistic then. It has to be.
Absolutely. That's a key term they use. Holistic.
Holistic gets thrown around a lot, though. What does it mean specifically in the angel wing context?
Well, the material is clear that angel wing isn't just one thing. It's made up of multifaceted elements, all designed to work together for this transformation.
Like different parts of a machine.
Kind of, yeah. They talk about diverse arms and programs that interconnect to form a single harmonious mechanism. It's not a random collection of techniques. It's an integrated system.
An infrastructure for evolution.
That's a good way to put it. A living infrastructure.
Okay, so it's a structure designed to guide the self towards something higher. Every piece must have a purpose. Let's dig into section 1 then. The angel wing framework, its structure, its core mission. What's the driving intention behind this complex system?
The mission statement they outline is it's both very personal and incredibly broad.
How so?
First, it aims to foster radical personal transformation in each participant. That's the personal part.
Right.
But the second part is about uplifting humanity collectively.
Okay, that is broad. That's a massive claim. How does the text connect individual change to, well, uplifting everyone?
The idea is to help individuals, and even groups, unleash their inherent healing and energetic potentials.
Inherent potentials.
Yes. The theory seems to be that once someone achieves this self-mastery and unlocks their potential, the positive effects, the energy, the clarity, they don't just stop with that person.
It radiates outward.
That seems to be the implication. And this is where the scale gets really ambitious, as the text points out. It's not just about helping the individual participant feel better. The goal extends to supporting individuals, families, even whole communities toward what they call sustainable progress and prosperity.
So a transformed person becomes an agent of change, radiating stability, a higher level of consciousness.
Sort of like a positive ripple effect. Maybe trickle up is a better way to think about it.
Trickle up.
Yeah, the underlying belief seems to be that you can't build a truly sustainable, prosperous society if the individuals within it are unstable, operating from flawed identities, or lack self-mastery.
So the foundation has to be strong individuals.
Exactly. Which brings us back to why the mechanism has to be holistic. It needs to link all these diverse programs, address every facet of the self.
Let's go deeper into that holistic mechanism idea. You mentioned the mind-body link, but also, crucially, the mind-brain link. How does Angel Wing use that understanding?
It doesn't see them as separate things, like a spirit stuck in a body or a mind just being run by the brain. It views the human system as unified.
An operating system.
Right. And acknowledging that intricate link between the mind and the actual physical brain is key. It keeps the framework from being purely philosophical or like floating off into abstraction.
Because changing consciousness needs the hardware to support it.
Precisely. The program apparently includes physical and mental aspects because these higher states of consciousness, as they're described, need a stable, optimized biological foundation to rest on.
Okay, that makes sense. That explains why there's such a focus on psychological and psychoeducational components alongside the physical and mental physiology. It's like to change the software, the mind, you need to understand the hardware, the brain.
You got it. And maybe the most critical piece for the person going through this is that psychoeducational aspect.
Why critical?
Because that's where the individual stops being just a recipient and becomes an active participant in their own evolution. It's about empowerment.
Empowerment. What does that look like in practice? How is this psychoeducational stuff different from, say, therapy or standard self-help training?
Well, the program explicitly aims to empower people to connect deeply with their own minds.
Going beyond just noticing thoughts.
Way beyond. It's about understanding the actual functional relationship between your thoughts and how your brain works. Like really getting how negative thought loops aren't just bad habits. They actually reinforce specific pathways in your brain.
And how you can consciously change those pathways. Neuroplasticity.
Exactly. It's about providing, in a sense, the user manual for your own mind and brain.
So you shift from just reacting to your internal programming to actually having the knowledge to manage it, maybe even rewrite parts of it?
That's the goal.
Yeah.
And the idea is that promoting creativity and individual evolution flows directly from that.
How so?
Well, the material suggests that when you clear out the mental clutter, the limiting beliefs that are basically hijacking your brain's resources, you free up that capacity. By understanding how your brain processes things and how thoughts form, you gain the freedom to steer your own internal world. And that's the engine for evolving, for becoming more creative.
It's a lot to juggle, though. Physical optimization, mastering your mind, spiritual growth. How do they tie it all together? You mentioned an analogy.
Yes, a central analogy they use is flight.
Flight.
They state, and I'm quoting loosely here, the metaphor of a bird needing both wings to soar illustrates our approach. To reach great heights, all components must function in harmony.
Both wings. So what are the two wings in this model? Mental and physical.
It seems broader than that. It really encompasses the physical, the mental, and the spiritual as equally essential. So maybe think of it like this. One wing is the spiritual ascension and the psychoeducational mastery. The other wing is the biological and physical optimization.
And you need both working together to get off the ground.
To achieve what they call great heights, yes. Synchronous power from both wings.
The implication for the participant is pretty stark then. You can't just focus on one area.
Nope. Partial effort won't cut it. If you're incredibly fit physically, but haven't dealt with your erroneous identifications, your spiritual wing is effectively clipped. You're limited.
So that's the key takeaway for anyone engaging with this. You have to engage every component.
To reach what the program describes as an entirely unprecedented level of consciousness, yes. If you have amazing intellectual insight, but your physical health is a wreck, the framework suggests you'll just spin your wheels.
Harmony is the mechanism. Synchronization.
Across all three spheres, simultaneously.
This sounds incredibly demanding. And probably requires more than just individual grit. Does it talk about external support?
It does. It mentions collaborative goals. The strategy involves partnering with various organizations, groups, individuals.
Why?
To support the larger goals of societal progress. It's an acknowledgement that the resources, the reach, the specialized knowledge needed for this kind of transformation probably can't all be contained within the angel wing structure itself.
So individual work needs collective support to scale up.
Seems that way. It's an outward-facing aspect.
Okay, so the framework is comprehensive, integrated, but like you said about flight, before you take off, you need to know your starting point. Let's move to section 2, the core inquiry, defining the self to enable self-mastery.
Right, and this is where things get both deeply philosophical and intensely practical.
How so?
Because the first big question the material makes you confront is, what actually is the self?
The fundamental question.
It has to be the first step. You can't master something if you don't know what it is.
And the text starts by kind of dismantling our usual assumptions about that.
Exactly. It makes you question, is the self just in the mind? Is the physical body, the sensations, is it just our thoughts, that constant chatter?
We tend to latch onto one of those, don't we?
We do. We think the chatter is us or the aches and pains are us. But the text challenges whether the true self is dependent on those shifting states.
Which leads right into exploring how we usually construct our identity, using external anchors.
The material asks you, the listener, to look at your own defaults. Do you define yourself by your name, your job, who you know, your role in the family, where you live, your relationships?
These standard labels we use to function in society.
Right. And those labels, while useful, can become like psychological cages if we mistake them for who we really are.
If we believe the label is the self.
Precisely. And questioning those labels opens up the key hypothesis, the real pivot point for this journey.
Which is?
The possibility that there's an identity beyond the one we're given by circumstance, beyond the job title, the family role, the past experiences.
An identity that isn't conditional.
Exactly. An unconditioned self.
Okay, so if the self we usually think of is just this collection of external definitions, then what is self-mastery aiming for? What does it mean in this context?
Well, self-mastery here isn't about, say, perfectly controlling your job or your body, although those things might improve as a side effect.
Right.
The text argues that when we talk about self-mastery, the very first step is acknowledging that there's a fundamental part of ourselves we just don't know yet. We haven't actually reached our true selves.
So step one is admitting we're operating with an incomplete picture, like running beta software.
That's a great analogy, yeah. Realizing that the self you think you know, the one that gets triggered, the one defined by past hurts or successes, is incomplete. It takes some humility.
Definitely.
The humility to say, okay, maybe who I think I am isn't the whole story. And that realization that you're aiming for an authentic, unconditioned self you haven't met yet, that's called the primary consideration.
The main reason for starting the journey.
Yes. Without that motivation, that sense that there's something more to uncover, the sheer effort involved in this kind of transformation probably wouldn't seem worth it.
It sets a high bar right from the start. Okay, so if we accept we're aiming for this true, perhaps unfamiliar self, we inevitably run into, well, roadblocks, things holding us back. Let's move to section 3, obstacles and the duty of transformation. What are these hindrances to self-awareness?
The material calls them erroneous identifications.
Erroneous identifications. Catchy.
They're basically the mistaken beliefs we have about who we are, the things that stop us from accessing that deeper, true self. It's like the psychological baggage we carry around and think is our identity.
And the text traces where these come from. It mentioned 2 main sources.
That's right. 2 primary origins. First, past experiences, especially how other people treated us.
Or childhood stuff.
Often, yeah. If someone was constantly told they were a certain way or mistreated in a specific manner, they can internalize that external definition. It becomes part of their adult self-image, even if it's totally inaccurate.
Okay, that makes sense. And the second source?
Individual circumstances. Things like a major illness, a big career failure, or even a huge success. Something happens, and that event becomes the central thing their identity revolves around.
Right. And the trap is we start believing these experiences are us, exclusively define us.
Exactly. If I went through a trauma, the trauma becomes who I am. If I'm a CEO, the job title becomes who I am.
Even though these things are often shaped by external events, things outside our control.
Precisely. The trap is deep because it feels so true. These experiences are powerful, no doubt. But the angel wing view is they aren't the essence of the self. We mistake the conditioning for the core identity.
And that creates inertia. Makes it hard to change that identity even if it's causing us pain.
Huge inertia, which is why just identifying the hindrances isn't enough. The focus has to shift immediately to, okay, how do I move beyond these? How do I uncover the true self underneath?
And this is where the third key question comes in, and something called the responsibility factor.
Yes, the shift is quite radical here. The framework basically says, look, external events or how others treated you might be the source of the wrong identification. But moving past it, that's entirely on you. It's your complete and total responsibility.
Wow. No blaming circumstances anymore.
Nope. And this is where the concept of stability comes in.
Stability. How is that defined? The text used some strong wording. Soul duty.
Extremely demanding wording. It says, and again paraphrasing slightly, it is the participants' sole duty to maintain the stability they've established and continually anchor themselves in that steadiness, always striving for incremental improvement.
Soul duty, that's uncompromising. What does that actually mean in practice?
It means that no matter how good the program is or how supportive the partnerships are, the actual work of maintaining your emotional, mental, and spiritual balance, that rests entirely on you, the individual.
So stability isn't passive, it's active work.
Constant active work, moment to moment anchoring yourself outside of reacting based on those old false identities. It demands, frankly, radical self-reliance.
That really changes the frame. It's not about waiting to be fixed. It's about building your own solid ground, knowing that every time you react from that old place, you risk undoing the stability you worked for.
It's continuous vigilance. And that duty, that responsibility, extends into the really tough areas like letting go.
Yes. The final question in this section. Why is it so hard to let go of discomfort? Physical pain, emotional pain, energetic blocks.
We often cling to it, sometimes because it's familiar, or we identify with being someone who suffers. But the text points to something deeper, more psychological.
What's that?
It suggests a profound reason we hang on to discomfort. It's often because we believe, deep down, that whatever caused it should not have happened.
Oh, interesting. Like injustice.
Exactly. We feel the injustice, the wrongness of the event. And holding on to the pain, the anger, the grief, the feeling of being a victim, it becomes a kind of internal proof that the event was wrong.
So the pain becomes a protest. We're resisting the reality of what occurred.
Yes. And that resistance, that refusal to integrate the past as something that did happen, even if it was awful, that's what keeps the wound open. It keeps the erroneous identification locked in place.
Because we're using our energy to fight against history, essentially.
You got it.
Yeah.
The trauma, the painful event, it keeps its power because we're mentally resisting its reality. To let go of the pain, the text suggests you first have to accept the fact of the event. Not approve of it, but accept it as a finalized part of history, separate from your true self.
Wow. Okay, that's a lot to unpack just in the foundations. So to recap the section, really understanding these four things, identity, the true self, the responsibility for stability, and letting go through acceptance, that's the absolute groundwork.
Those are the psychological keys, according to this material. You have to rigorously confront and dismantle the self you thought you were, the one built on conditions, before you can even begin the kind of fundamental change the program aims for.
Which brings us nicely to section 4, the transformative outcome, metamorphosis and evolution. We know the goal is this unprecedented level of consciousness. Once someone meets these tough conditions stability, letting go, what does that transformation actually look like?
The change is described as, well, total, comprehensive. To get across the sheer scale of it, the angel wing text uses a key technical term, biopsychospiritual evolution.
Biopsychospiritual. Okay, break that down for us. It's not just thinking differently or feeling more spiritual.
No, it signifies systemic change across all dimensions, biological, psychological, and spiritual.
And the text uses the caterpillar to butterfly metamorphosis analogy here.
Yes, specifically because metamorphosis isn't just growth. It's not just a bigger caterpillar.
Right, it dissolves.
It dissolves. The original structure completely breaks down inside the chrysalis, turns into this kind of primordial soup before it gets rebuilt into something entirely different.
Suggesting the old identity, the false identifications, they have to be completely dissolved, not just tweaked.
That's the strong implication.
So let's look at the bio part. What biological changes are implied by bioevolution? We're not actually changing species, obviously.
No, not like that. But the text seems to imply deep physiological shifts. Changes in how the body, and especially the brain, functions.
Like enhanced neuroplasticity.
That seems to be a core component. The brain's ability to rewire itself, forming new connections, allowing for entirely new ways of thinking, expanded cognitive abilities. It also hints at a better synchronization of all the body's systems.
Leading to more clarity, focus, maybe even better physical health.
Potentially. The idea is that maintaining these stable, higher-frequency mental states through conscious effort actually optimizes the biological hardware.
So the mind work literally changes the body and brain.
Which then allows for even deeper psychological change. That's the psycho part of the evolution.
And how is that defined?
It's described as resulting in the manifestation of individuals' innate abilities.
Innate abilities, like superpowers.
Well, maybe not flying, but abilities that were always there, just latent, suppressed by the noise of the old identity and the unstable mental states.
What kind of abilities are we talking about?
The material suggests things like significantly increased intuition, heightened empathy, sharper, more focused creativity, the ability to hold complex ideas or states of mind without struggling.
Unlocking human potential that's usually dormant.
Essentially, yes. Your thinking is no longer just reacting to your history. It's flowing from this clear, unconditioned potential.
And it's described as a complete metamorphosis, reinforcing that this isn't just about being better adjusted, it's about becoming fundamentally different.
That is the core promise, yes. And the spiritual component ties back to that idea of ascension, moving from being reactive and limited to being transcendent, more connected to a fundamental awareness.
So the butterfly metaphor really is key then. It emphasizes that this kind of profound fundamental change is possible. Life itself shows us radical transformation happens.
Right. It serves as a constant reminder, perhaps, that the difficulty of the path, the stability, dissolving the old self, it's justified by the scale of the potential outcome. You're aiming to trade a crawling existence for flight, metaphorically speaking.
And let's bring it back to the bigger picture one last time.
Yeah.
How does this intense individual transformation connect back to the social goal?
The big picture, as the text lays it out, is that this individual progress, this evolution, is the bridge to guiding society towards sustainable progress and prosperity.
How?
The logic seems to be, if you create enough individuals who operate from this place of deep stability, clarity, and manifest their positive innate abilities, then the collective atmosphere, the consciousness and functionality of society itself will inevitably be elevated.
So individual transformation is the engine for social progress.
In this view, it seems to be the only reliable engine.
It's an incredibly ambitious framework, a detailed path, complex concepts, and this fierce demand for self-responsibility, all aiming for not just a better life, but potentially a new state of being that benefits everyone.
Yeah, the power in the angel wing material, at least in this foundational volume, seems to lie in its refusal to offer easy answers or quick fixes. It really insists on grappling with those deep philosophical questions about identity first, before even offering the tools for the biopsychospiritual work. And those demanding criteria, especially that sole duty for stability, it hammers home that this kind of transformation is earned. It's not just handed to you.
Okay, let's try and synthesize the key points from this deep dive into Volume 1. The Angel Wing Initiative presents itself as this precise mechanism, a framework. It's designed to bridge that gap between who we think we are based on circumstances, our jobs, our past, the labels, and who we could be, our true evolutionary selves.
Right. And success hinges on accepting that need for profound stability and taking radical individual responsibility.
Responsibility that centers on challenging those erroneous identifications.
Exactly. The work starts psychologically, questioning who you think you are. But the claimed result is holistic, biological, psychological, spiritual, a complete restructuring. And a crucial piece of that is accepting the past, no matter how difficult, to free up the energy needed to build a future self.
This has been fascinatingly detailed, a real deep dive into the thinking behind this system. Before we wrap up, thinking about you, the listener, perhaps grappling now with these ideas, challenging false identities, realizing the true self might be unknown, what's one final thought we can leave you with to mull over?
Okay, well, if self-mastery really does start with acknowledging we haven't reached our true selves yet, then the work has to begin with questioning the identity structures that feel most solid, maybe even comfortable, but might be based on, well, falsehoods. So maybe think about one consistent, maybe painful, limiting belief you hold about yourself right now. Perhaps it's rooted in how someone treated you long ago, or a specific event that you let define you. What's one small, concrete step you could take, maybe even today, to start treating that belief not as an inherent truth about who you are, but as a circumstance that happened to you, just creating that tiny bit of separation.
A powerful first step on that journey, from the beta self to the true self. Fantastic. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the foundations of Angel Wing.
My pleasure. It's always stimulating to explore these kinds of challenging ideas.